For the Aztecs, war is a divine duty. Their only guarantee the sun will rise.
To appease the god.
So you're telling me I don't need to remember anything? Look, I appreciate the effort. I really do. But after sitting through a tutorial that somehow managed to explain the most complicated civilization in age mythology history without once saying, here are 3 things you need to remember, well, I figured someone had to step up. So here we are. The Aztecs are arguably the most complex civilization to ever grace this game. And I want to be clear, it's not complicated in terms of micro or macro. The fundamentals are actually quite simple. But you know what? The complicated thing is the decision making. When do I do what? That's what we're here to figure out. So buckle in. This one's going to be thorough. The Aztecs have one villager type, the settler, coming in at around 10% worse than the standard Greek villager across the board. On the surface, not exactly inspiring. But before you write them off, let's talk about what makes the Aztec economy genuinely special. The Calpulli. Similar to the Chinese, the Calpulli is a single drop site for all resources. It costs 75 wood, and here's where it gets interesting. It comes with 3 attachments: the livestock pen, the lumber outpost, and the craft workshop. And whichever attachment you place, villagers dropping the correct resource into that Calpulli will receive a bonus 15% of whatever they drop off. Now, this is important to understand. It is not a gather rate increase. It's a flat bonus on drop off. So if I drop 10 wood into the lumber outpost Calpulli, I get an extra 1.5 wood. What that means is that as you get your economic upgrades, hand axe, bow saw, carpenters, this 15% bonus stays a flat 15% bonus. It doesn't scale with your gather rate the way other bonuses do. A minor distinction, but worth knowing. And when used correctly, across all your Calpullis, this is how the Aztecs end up with arguably the strongest resource income in the game. So let's break down each attachment. The livestock pen spawns a turkey at 500 food gathered and every subsequent 500 food after it. So if you're dropping food into the Calpulli, this is your attachment. Its best usage, honestly, is the late game. Surround it with farms and enjoy the passive food generation sitting right next to your drop site. The lumber outpost does 2 things. It gives you a free tower on your wood line. It's handy for defense. And it also allows you to garrison 5 units inside the Calpulli itself. So if you have a wood line and nothing else nearby, this is your default attachment. It's perfect to escape pesky raids. The craft workshop is the sneaky one. It converts 10% of any other resource dropped into the Calpulli into gold. So if you're sitting on a gold mine with a wood line nearby, slap the craft workshop down. You're going to be getting the 15% bonus on your gold gatherers and converting a portion of your woodcutters drops into bonus gold. This is almost certainly going to be your most used attachment in competitive play. The general rule: gold and wood together, craft workshop. Wood line alone, lumber outpost. Food drop site is your livestock pen. The Aztecs have 3 ways to generate favor, and depending on your major god, you may not have access to all of them. Most civilizations get 1. The Aztecs get 3. Let's break them down. Villager sacrifice. You can sacrifice a villager at any time for an upfront 15 favor. That diminishes down to 1 as you approach 300 favor gained by devotion. You also get a passive trickle, which has 20 tiers. Every villager you sacrifice increases the tier to the next level. Villager 1 is 0.04 favor per second. Villager 2 is an extra 0.033 with a total of 0.073. Villager 3 is 0.027 with a total of 0.1 favor per second. And then it diminishes rapidly down from villagers 4 to 8, adding about 0.012 to 0.024 favor per villager. And then when you get above villagers 9, starts going down to about 0.06 favor per second, which is the floor of addition. After 20 villagers, you no longer increase your passive favor, so it tops out at 0.294 favor per second. The rule for sacrificing is simple. Don't do it unless you're spending the favor immediately after. You're killing your own economy. Every villager you lose is a permanent hit to your income, so if you're going to be pulling the trigger, have a plan. The one exception is an early sacrifice, specifically to kickstart your favor trickle. Get that passive income rolling early. Ride it into a fast heroic, sacrifice again when you arrive, and immediately spend it. That's a legitimate game plan. But as a general rule, sacrifice with intent. Spend immediately. When any unit dies on the battlefield, it drops Tenali, the essence of life. Your warrior priest can collect these to convert them into favor. It starts out at 0.75 favor per unit and then gradually decays, similar to how Norse favor decays. The game files say that myth units are supposed to give 4 favor, but that doesn't appear to happen in game. Towers and great temples can also collect Tenali. The key thing here is that if there is no warrior priest or eligible collector nearby, the Tenali just sits there. It gives you nothing. So having warrior priests in your army at all times isn't just good practice. It's how your favor economy functions. More on them in the unit section, but consider this your reminder. Warrior priests in the army. Always. If you're playing Quetzalcoatl, your warrior priests can perform bloodletting at the temple, generating 0.05 favor per second per priest. They also lose HP while doing this, dropping down to around 40% HP, and they don't lose any more than that. The practical tip here, a warrior priest at low HP from a fight is the perfect candidate to send back to the temple. They're still generating favor at the same rate at 40% HP as they are at full HP. So you're getting full value out of a unit that would otherwise just be sitting there waiting to die. Fight with them, run them back at low HP and put them on the temple and repeat. One final note across all 3 methods, if you're facing the Aztecs, your first priority in an engagement should be to snipe the warrior priests. Kill them early and you cut off their Tenali collection. Hit their temple devotion and you can snipe their warrior priests as they're at low HP. Basically, don't let them get the Tenali. The warrior priest is your hero unit, trained from the temple. Think of it as a melee hero in the vein of the Norse Herser, except critically, it doesn't carry the Norse hero infantry tag. That means units like the throwing axeman, the pacifist, and similar counter-infantry units won't brutalize it. The only reliable way to kill a warrior priest efficiently is with high DPS generalist units, like the Murmillo or the Chariot Archer. They're extremely tanky and will surprise you if you underestimate them. They also have a ranged attack against myth units and come with ballistics built in, so those projectiles will track flying units without any additional research needed. The real headline feature of the warrior priest, though, is the Tezcatlipoca ability. At a cost of 11 favor, your warrior priest becomes temporarily possessed by your major god for 30, 45, or 60 seconds, depending on age. Each god transforms them differently. Huitzilopochtli grants a fire-breathing AoE melee attack hero, which is great against massed, grouped up myth units, such as the automaton. Tezcatlipoca grants a Bellerophon-style jump ability, diving directly onto a target, perfect for sniping backline myth units. Quetzalcoatl grants a Son of Osiris-style chain lightning attack, devastating against any grouped up myth unit. The key usage for all three: keep a warrior priest at the back of your army. The moment you see myth units coming, pop the Tezcatlipoca and convert your priests into a myth unit killer. Takes around 5 to 6 seconds to convert, similar to the Atlantean hero system, so trigger it early. It takes damage during conversion, so don't leave it until your priest is already half dead. The Tezcatlipoca jump works differently to other jump abilities in the game. It requires a clear direct line to the target. No jumping over walls, forests, or buildings. Keep this in mind, especially when jumping onto villages in a raid. Make sure the path is clear before you commit. Quick tip for the jump boys in general. Turn off autocast on the jump ability. Alt Q with them selected, toggles it. The last thing you want is your Ocelot warriors or Jaguar riders randomly jumping into a fight you're not ready for. Turn it off, control your engagement, turn back on when you're ready to fight. The dock brings with it fishing ships, arrow canoe, the archer ship, Tezcatlipoca canoe, the hammer ship, Atlatl siege canoe, the siege ship, and the transport ship. All of these have a unique naval bonus associated with Aztecs, which is faster attack speed, resulting in more DPS. On the water, you also get 2 myth units. The Axolotl, which has a shield that heals allies and an ability that destroys enemy ships. In the Mythic Age, the Axolotl can be converted into the Axolotl Mutant, which is available in the Mythic Age to train as well. This deals poison damage and has a devastating anti-ship special ability. And crucially is amphibious. It can walk on land and join the ground fight. So worth keeping in mind on hybrid maps. The War Hut trains your cheaper, faster, more fragile units. Think of these as your early game backbone, not your powerhouses, but cost efficient and quick to mass. The Lamani Spearman is a hard counter cavalry unit. Unlike the Egyptian Spearman, which leans more generalist, this unit is specifically built to punish cavalry. It's fast, it's strong at its job, and it's going to struggle against anything else. Use it for what it is, a cavalry answer. The Takia Archer is best understood as a miniature Yumi horse archer. 14 range, very fast, and cheap at only 80 total resources. Not a powerhouse by any measure, but the speed makes it genuinely unique. It's going to be your early pressure unit and your raiding answer while you work towards the heavier options. All buildable from the War Hut units are traps. The smoke trap costs 20 wood and 20 gold. Its ability triggers automatically when an enemy unit or units step on it, lowering their speed and line of sight substantially. This trap doesn't seem very practical in a real game, but its low cost makes it spammable for line of sight around the map to track villager movements and potentially enemy army movements. The more interesting trap is the spike trap. This costs 100 wood. When it triggers, it stuns any enemy units sitting on it and deals 16 hack damage. These are going to become more relevant as we get into the minor god section, but note them here. Some texts reduce their costs and allow more to be placed simultaneously, so don't completely ignore them. Where the War Hut gives you cheap and fast units, the Noble Hut gives you elite and expensive units. The Coyote Warrior is your Huskal equivalent. Counters ranged soldiers, costs food instead of wood, has a high gold cost, and is fast. Basically, it functions like a cavalry disguised as an infantry unit. Use it to kill archers and raid your opponent. This is going to be a stable unit regardless of your god choice until you unlock the Eagle Warrior in the Heroic Age. The Ocelot Warrior is your elite generalist infantry. Costs a significant amount of resources, hits hard, and comes with 2 unique mechanics: stealth and jump. Stealth works by proximity to forests. Your opponent can spot you if they come close enough. Line of sight will give you away if you stand still. The key is movement. Keep moving around the forest edge and staying away from enemy units. Stand still and you might get revealed. The jump requires that clear, direct line we mentioned with the warrior priest, so no jumping over obstacles. This unit is expensive enough that I wouldn't recommend building it in isolation. Mix it with myth units for maximum effectiveness. or pair it with the Eagle Warrior for a genuinely terrifying late game composition. There are also specific technology parts that make the Ocelotl Warrior considerably stronger. If you're going to invest in them, go all the way. The Eagle Warrior is unlocked in the Heroic Age and is almost certainly going to be the backbone of your Aztec army from the Heroic Age onwards. It's good against archers, high DPS, so it holds its own against infantry, and the only real counters are cavalry and some cost-efficient anti-range units like peltasts or slingers that can trade reasonably well. Once you hit the Heroic Age, you will largely stop building Takia archers and start building only Eagle Warriors. The composition that excites me the most is Eagle Warrior plus Ocelotl Warrior. Once you have the upgrades for both, this ends up being really expensive but devastatingly powerful. The Automaton Smasher is your anti-building specialist. Costs wood, takes up 4 population, and functions similarly to a portable ram, except it's faster and carries the infantry tag, meaning counter infantry units will punish it if you're not careful. The play with these is to split them from your main army, threaten a different position, and when your opponent reacts, retreat them and move your main army in to take the fight. They're also excellent at soaking archer damage, so they naturally complement the Eagle Warrior Coyote Warrior compositions. The Shorn one is your elite counter infantry unit. So when you think about your full elite roster, Eagle Warrior counters archers, Ocelotl Warrior is your generalist and deals with cavalry, and Shorn ones counters infantry. You could theoretically build an army of nothing but elite units. Extraordinarily expensive, but extraordinarily powerful. The Shorn one also comes with the Terror Whistle ability, which stuns and reduces the damage of nearby enemies. So leave this on autocast. There's no specific moment to save it for. You just want it firing as often as possible in any engagement. The Jaguar Rider is your Mythic Age cavalry unit. Can jump, can stealth near forests. Same mechanics as the Ocelotl Warrior. This is your primary raiding unit in the late game. Jump in on enemy villages before they can react, pick off archers, and get out. Same rules apply. Turn off autocast on the jump, control your engagements, Alt Q to toggle when you're ready to go. The Quinametson is a siege myth unit costing 300 gold and 20 favor that functions similarly to a catapult, but being a myth unit changes its threat profile entirely. Cavalry can't just dive in and kill it the way that they would kill a siege weapon. The real threats are ranged heroes or fast heroes. Bellerophon diving your backline is the nightmare scenario. Protect it accordingly and it's going to do serious damage to buildings. At 500 total resources with favor adjusted to 10x, it's the second most expensive unit in the game after the Heliopolis. Treat it like the investment it is. The Great Temple also has 3 one-time sacrifice ceremonies, all unlocked in the Mythic Age. Use them wisely, you only get one. New Fire Ceremony. Sacrifice 3 herdables to double your favor devotion rate for 1 minute. The obvious use is a quick burst of favor to immediately spike into powerful Mythic Age myth units, or knock out the expensive unique technologies all in one go. Simple, clean, effective. Cosmic Guard allows you to sacrifice 15 human soldiers and receive 6 myth units in return. 3 from the Heroic Age and 3 from the Mythic Age. This is kind of your panic button, but it's also an amazing way to catch your opponent by surprise. For example, spam out 15 spearmen. Your opponent tries to counter your spearmen with some counter infantry, and then all of a sudden those spearmen turn into 6 myth units to dominate the fight. Arrival of the Gods is the final sacrifice. You sacrifice 6 warrior priests and receive a super empowered hero with vastly improved stats. More hit points, faster attack speed, significantly higher DPS, and a duration 4 times longer than a standard empowered warrior priest. This is an amazing unit to help you out of a really sticky situation, or punish your opponent for letting you get there freely. Huitzilopochtli is all about conquest and expansion, and his bonus reflects that. Temples, great temples, and town centers refund 33% of their cost on completion, so expanding your infrastructure is actively cheaper with this god, which is a big deal. He also connects Tonali with a bonus. In addition to the favor, you get resources equal to 5% of the defeated unit's cost. Over a long game, this is a meaningful economic advantage. Shawn ones gain plus 10% hit points and generate 100% more Tonali in combat. So if you're playing Huitzilopochtli, Shawn ones are a priority unit and can play a role in your economy. But really everything with Huitzilopochtli comes down to one question. How are you going to use Blood Pact? Blood Pact is your Archaic Age god power. Use it on a villager and they become a powerful temporary unit. Build 4 times faster and gather resources faster at 8x in the Archaic Age, 10x in the Classical Age, 12x in the Heroic Age, 15x in the Mythic Age, and 20x in the Wonder Age. They do die 30 seconds after, but if they die, they return 10 favor. Use it on a military unit and you get 3x stat boost for the duration before the unit dies. The options: the aggressive Blood Pact drop. Drop it on a free myth unit or a warrior priest early and deal massive economic or military damage to your opponent in the first few minutes. The greedy Blood Pact. Drop it on a villager to build a second town center at minimal additional cost. Boom, economy, play defensively, punish your opponent when they come to attack you. The Heroic Age Blood Pact. Save it for something like the Tezcatlipoca to tear down a town center or fortress in the Heroic Age. Or drop it on an Obsidian Butterfly for absolutely absurd Heroic Age timing damage. The middle ground. Using it randomly mid-fight on a unit generally doesn't maximize the value. Commit to a plan before you click it. Wings of the South increases Spearman and Archer speed by 10% and reduces their train time by 40%. It's cheap for what it does and excellent whether you're playing aggressive or defensive. Just grab it. Tezcatlipoca is the myth unit god full stop. Every 2 myth units you lose spawns an obsidian shard. If it survives long enough, it summons a free myth unit of your current age. Towers and traps build 25% faster and deal 25% more damage. And devoting settlers to the temple grants progressively more favor. 10, 20, 30, 40% based on your age. This god rewards a defensive, death ball orientated playstyle. Turtle, build myth units, burst out of your base, repeat. His Archaic Age god power is Obsidian Mirror, and it is the most complicated god power in the game. It copies your opponent's Archaic Age god power. Every single game is going to be different. Let's go through the most important scenarios. Ra's Reign. Drop as many farms around your livestock pen as possible before casting. Immediately jump your villagers back onto the turkeys after rain ends, then back to farms to use rain again for huge food spikes. Tsukiyomi, New Moon. Drop this on your Kalpuli in the Heroic Age. You get Chinampers, which is an exclusive food upgrade for the Aztecs, a bow saw, and shaft mine, all for free. This is your best usage of New Moon, netting the most value in free research in the Heroic Age. Dropping it on the armory instead gets you ballistics, jade weapons, and ceremonial shields, which is still good, but I think the Kalpuli option is the better one, and Tsukiyomi doesn't have this same option. Nuwa with Creation. I say save it for the Heroic Age. Drop it for a massive economy boost right as you're transitioning. Aztecs can get to the Heroic Age quickly and enjoy their Eagle Warriors, and this can bridge the economic gap beautifully in that scenario. Unfortunately, the creation villages cannot be sacrificed as the devotion doesn't work for them, and they also can't build any of the military buildings for the Aztecs. So any creative rushes doesn't seem to be the best idea for creation. Shenong's prosperous seeds, drop the early farms, combo this with livestock pen attachment for a nice early food spike and consistent food spike. Isis Prosperity has really strong synergy with the Heroic Age gold costing myth units. This could enable a fast mythic as well, so keep that in mind, particularly against Isis where a volcano timing could be devastating. Freya has Ghoul and Bursty. I reckon you want to combo this with a Heroic Age God Power Starfall for a Tempest Ghoul and Bursty style engagement. It's absolutely devastating if you can set it up correctly. Tepi Yolotl's Reach gives Ocelotl warriors and Jaguar riders plus 15% damage and 2 extra range on their jump attack. It's not meta defining on its own, but if you're going to go down the Ocelotl warrior tech path, this is part of a genuinely powerful late game package. Quetzalcoatl is your one town center powerhouse. Warrior priests generate 0.05 favor per second via bloodletting at the temples. Calpulis and their attachments cost 33% less, so building out your economy in the early game is significantly cheaper, letting you play a slightly more passive opening before erupting out of your base. Nobles hut units get plus 15% hit points and plus 2 range on the Eagle Warrior specifically. This god is all about the Nobles hut. Eagle Warriors, Coyote Warriors, Ocelotl Warrior, these are your units. You can largely ignore the War Hut and Quetzalcoatl and feel confident. Build your Calpulis early and cheaply. Mass Noble Hut units, and when you're ready, move out. His Archaic Age God Power is Tailwind, and I'll say it plainly. This might be the new best Archaic Age God Power in the game. A full population army under Tailwind can dive any defensive position your opponent tries to build. The speed boost turns every human unit into a raiding threat, and comboed with Coyote Warriors diving Archaballs, it's genuinely terrifying. New Moon is still great, Shockwave is still great, Ghoul and Bursty is still great, but Tailwind is up there with all of them, in my view, and potentially above them. Feast of Sustenance, Herdables can be sacrificed at the temple for a 15-second gather rate boost across all villages. That's going to be 0.9 times 0.15 times 15, which is going to equal 2.025 extra resources per villager. At 100 villagers, that's going to be roughly 200 extra resources per villager, per herdable sacrificed. The cost is losing the herdable permanently. In the Heroic Age, with farms already running and Chinampa's research, your food income is strong enough that sacrificing goats for this boost becomes a legitimate strategic choice, particularly for a big timing push or a tech spike. The best version of this is committing to something specific, getting to Mythic Age quickly, or waiting for 100 villages and getting yourself a quick plus 2,000-ish resources, or even potentially more. Senson Totoshichin is the Divine Rabbit. It costs only 100 food and 14 favor, making it one of the cheapest myth units in the game. Reasonably fragile, so keep it away from enemy heroes, but here's the fun part. When it takes damage and then eats from either farms or berries, it heals back up, and both damage dealt and resources eaten contribute towards the veterancy classes. At 100, 300, 600, and 1000 cumulative damage or resources, it levels up, gaining approximately 20% extra damage and 20% extra HP per class up to a maximum of 6 rabbits in a pack. Yes, 6. You are building a rabbit army, feed them, fight with them, feed them again. Omatochli's Revelry increases their HP by 35% and healing rate by 50%. Grab this after your 3rd rabbit rather than buying a 4th. It's better value. Agave Bloom is a berry bush that gathers at twice the rate of a normal berry bush, containing 800 food in the Classical Age, 1500 in the Heroic, 2000 in the Mythic Age, and 2500 in the Wonder Age. It also heals nearby units at 5 HP per second, reduced to 2.5 HP per second if in combat. Basically, it's a better healing spring, but temporary. The way it decays based on healing makes it considerably more valuable as an aggressive drop. And it disappears naturally once the food runs out. So there's little to no penalty for using it in a fight and potentially losing. Drop it in an engagement, heal your army, and have it turn the tide. Ocpatli infusions gives 10% extra HP to human soldiers and villagers, plus a regeneration rate of 0.25 per second. Gives the Aztecs passive healing, which they otherwise lack entirely. Strong baseline grab, so must pick up. Muggy cultivation gives 25 food refunded per farm build, plus 10% farm gather rate. It's very strong. Grab it for your farms. You can think of it as a sort of Shadoof type technology. Shineki is a mini Petsukos who can transform into a tower. Takes about 3 seconds to transform into the tower form and 1.25 seconds to change back. In tower form, it gains 6 extra hack damage, 1 divine damage, 4 range, and a little bit more hack and pierce armor with a lot less crush, but it can no longer move. The upgrade, Old Coyote's Spirit, reduces their vulnerability to hack and gives them a 50% chance to spawn a spike trap on death. Since anything killing the tower form will likely have your entire army surrounding it, that spike trap is landing in the middle of a crowd. Nasty. Lullaby puts all units in radius to sleep for 10 seconds, waking up when hit. Best usage is to combo with Purge. Cast Purge first, then Lullaby to guarantee grouped units. Alternatively, use it to isolate a backline of archers and pick them off one by one with your own archers while your melee handles the front. Strong and flexible. Quick Akali training, minus 15% vulnerability to pierce, makes your unit significantly more resilient against archer balls. Very useful. Step on Artsley drums, villager, human soldier, and hero speed plus 10%. Must grab, no debate. Naval trap wood and gold cost is now minus 20%. Plus 2 extra traps placeable at once. The cost reduction is mainly relevant to spike traps, and this could enable some interesting strangling tactics on gold mines or choke points. Quetzalcoatl, a twin-headed serpent with 2 abilities. Scorching Breath deals 10 divine damage and modifies hack and pierce armor by 0.75x. Poisonous Breath deals 1 divine on hit, then 3 divine per second for 6 seconds, 18 total. The upgrade of Omen of Malinalco unlocks a death ability dealing 10 divine AoE, a massive armor debuff of 0.58 hack and 0.85 pierce for 6 seconds, plus 1.5 divine per second for 6 seconds, 9 damage total. The play here is use it as a support unit. Rush the serpent into an enemy archer ball, let it die, proc the death explosion on the cluster, then clean it up with your melee units. By itself, it's a little underwhelming. Used as a sacrifice, it's a bit of a different story. Infestation spawns 3 scorpions, dealing 1 divine damage over time per attack. 6 divine per hit effectively, with a large bonus versus villagers. An extra scorpion spawns every 30 seconds. It lasts 180 seconds, and when it finally dies, you get 3 larger scorpions. Drop this immediately upon hitting the classical age. Don't hold it for a fight. By 6 to 7 minutes, you'll have 12 scorpions doing passive damage to anything in range, and you'll be sitting on a nice little defensive screen while you mass up your actual army. Sting of Yappin. Spearmen and archers gain 0.1 divine damage for 6 seconds per hit, so 0.6 divine bonus damage per attack. Subtle, but meaningful over a long fight. Tololashi Trance. Human soldiers reduce enemy attack speed by 2% per hit for 5 seconds, and it stacks. Against large armies, this can cascade into meaningful attack speed reduction across an entire engagement, so really good to grab later on. Ayotoshidli, a Turtle Rabbit siege myth unit with the Wrecking Ball special ability. This does 200 crush and 10 hack on impact, as well as sends any unit in its way flying. This is the perfect siege myth unit because it removes the weakness of other siege myth units, them dying before they can even get onto the building. Charge in and get destroying. Serpent Skirt. When your buildings die, uncontrollable anacondas spawn. 0 population cost, 5.45 DPS, and 25 food in them when they die, so you can eat them. You can delete your own buildings to trigger the spawns, but you cannot delete the anacondas themselves like animals of set. So a building deletion, no farm strategy isn't viable. Probably a late game grab when your buildings are already at risk rather than an early priority. Tezcatlipoca shrines. Buildings gain a regeneration rate and repairing is now free. Slight anti-synergy with the Serpent Skirt technology since you want buildings to survive, not die, but free repair alone makes this worth grabbing. Pick it up after Masons is my recommendation. String of Hearts. Human soldiers gain 1 extra crush damage for both melee and ranged, plus 10% damage across all actions. Exceptionally strong even without the crush damage bonus. With Burning Pitch on top of this, your archers will start dealing serious building damage. It's a must grab for the late game for sure. Tezcatlipoca Scales. For every 1% HP, your Atlatl siege canoes lose. Their hack armor is modified by 0.5%. In plain English, this is just an effective HP increase to everything but divine and crush damage. Earth Monster has a 20-second duration and strikes 4 times. Units hit by the strike are dragged below ground before getting regurgitated at the end of the cast. It can take 20 units at a time. This god power is best used on an engagement that would otherwise be equal. You remove half of your opponent's army with the god power and kill the other half with your units. The Obsidian Butterfly has a charged hand attack dealing 30 damage in a 3 AoE, with those hit taking 7.5 divine damage per second for 3 seconds. That's 22.5 divine total, and sending them flying. This is already one of the most disruptive myth unit abilities in the game. Then you grab Wings of Huitzilopochtli, and the special ability gets plus 50% damage. Yes, 50%. The AoE, the divine damage, the knockback, all of it. This is my pick for the strongest myth unit in the Aztec roster, and potentially in the entire game at this stage. Obsidian Napping. Coyote Warriors, Ocelotl Warriors, and Eagle Warriors gain plus 15% damage. This is the tech that makes the all-elite Noble's Hut composition genuinely terrifying. Flowery Wars. Denali bounty increased by 20%, more favor from every fight. Strong passive bonus with Tezcatlipoca in particular. Shards of Itztli. Arrow canoes gain plus 30% damage. Worth noting on hybrid and water maps. Tezcatlipoca has a charged hand attack dealing 18 damage, stunning human units and myth units for 1 second, and lifestealing 25% of the damage dealt. Also gives a 10% boost for 5 seconds after the ability fires. The unit raids and fights and sustains itself. Senson Witch's Nala gives plus 20% damage and plus 15% attack speed for both regular and special attacks. Grab this immediately because the god power gives you 3 Tezcatlipoca for free, meaning you'll have 4 right away. Starfall, similar to Tempest, 2 projectile types fall continuously. Small strikes deal 4 damage in a 2 AoE every 0.02 to 0.2 seconds. Large strikes deal 25 divine in a 5 AoE at 5, 10, and 15 second intervals, both dealing 5x damage to buildings and 0.5x to villages. Each large strike spawns a Tezcatlipoca when it lands. This is a devastating engaged siege tool. Combo it with Ghoul and Bursty if you've stolen it via Obsidian Mirror for a Tempest Ghoul and Bursty level devastation. Koyostalki's Stone. Temple and Great Temple technology costs reduced by 75%. Incredible if you're building Great Temple units heavily. Less relevant otherwise. Tezcatlipoca's Penance. Settler Devotion rate plus 15%. Grab immediately if you're running a sacrifice heavy strategy for mass Tezcatlipoca production. Mechizliepin. Axolotl and Mutant Axolotl favor cost reduced by 25%. Ability recharge time reduced by 25%. Worth considering on hybrid maps in the Mythic Age if you're going heavy on naval. Aztec is an amphibious guardian who pulls a unit out of the enemy army and drops it next to him, stunned for 3 seconds. The ability to isolate a single high value target, a myth unit or a key human unit, and delete it before it can be rescued is exactly the kind of thing that swings late game fights. Pillar of Tlalocan destroys any building on impact, similar to the Tartarian Gate. Deals 25 divine damage in a 7 AoE. And the auto attack deals 1 hack damage, spawning a water pillar that deals 15 hack and 15 divine in an AoE. Burnt water? This is boiling oil for all intents and purposes, of which could not be researched normally as the Aztecs. Thalokis. All economic upgrades cost 90% less and research near instantly, plus approximately 1400 gold back from refunds if you go for the right god path. This is a late game economic nuke. Grab it immediately upon hitting the Mythic Age and enjoy the gains. Tezcatlipoca. Farms plus 15%, herdables plus 50%, hunt plus 50%. This is an insanely strong late game technology for your food income. 4 jars. Great temples cost 20% less wood and gold and give plus 1 population cap each. You can build 15 great temples, so that means plus 15 population once you get them all. Worth noting for the late game and really playing into to find a significant advantage where that's concerned. Tunkalushu is the owl-like creature of death. Its special ability gives any unit hit a 25% chance to instantly die for 8 seconds. The hand attack appears to be AoE, but it is not. The DPS is strong regardless. Against large armies, the death proc can cascade terrifyingly. Necklace of Eyeballs. Empowered warrior priests get more HP, damage, and line of sight. Strong if you're regularly using the Tezcatlipoca ability. Omen of Death. Empowered warrior priest deals 40 hack damage on death and throws nearby enemies. Dramatic and probably fun. Precious Bones. 15 wood returned per dead archer plus 50% damage for ranged soldiers. It's just good on the damage boost alone, but the bonus wood is bonus wood. Mikteka. Shorn ones deal 20% more damage and gain a 50% bonus versus heroes. Your elite counter infantry unit is now also a hero killer. Yay. Oh, and this thing. Soul Guide has the special ability Miklan's Howl. Deals 100 hack damage and 1 divine per second for 15 seconds. 15 total divine damage. If the target dies during this window, a Tlacanic Simile spawns, an uncontrollable friendly myth unit with lifesteal. The upgrade Torch of Misfortune adds a chain lightning ability called Chain of Corruption. 20 divine damage and 1 divine per second for 15 seconds. With any unit killed during the window, also spawning at Tlacanic Simile. You are building an army of death from your enemy's own fallen units. Evening Star. A free soul guide spawns for every great temple you have, and every new great temple built spawns 1 on completion. If you're going great temple heavy, this is free myth unit generation at scale. Twisted Limbs. Ocelotl warriors gain 25% more damage on their jump and 20% more HP. The tech that completes the Ocelotl warrior package if you're building into them all game. Stone Skin Kinemetsin gains 25% more damage for your Kinemetsin, 30% more HP, plus 2 range, and an extra 2 line of sight. Corrupted Ground is a 30 area of effect terrain warping god power that deals 1 divine damage a second for 15 seconds to all units except siege weapons. If a unit dies that is hit by the god power, it will spawn a Tlacanic Simile to fight for you. This is a perfect god power to use to fight a battle that looks like you might lose, but instead turn the table and absolutely dominate. And there you have it. The Aztec Pantheon. Everything on the table. Did I miss something? I genuinely hope not. But if I did, let me know in the comments. And if you've already found something broken, some tech combination that just pops off, share it below. This is a brand new civilization and we're all figuring it out together. As for what's next for Age Mythology Retold, that's a very interesting question. Drop your predictions in the comment section below and we'll see who gets it right.